Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Grid Talk podcast here on the Motorsport Magpie channel. As always, this is the preview show, and if I press that button, there he is. He turns up.
Hi,
I'm still
everyone.
pointed the wrong way after 2 years.
It's fine. We'll get there.
How are we?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Yeah, well, we've actually got, for a preview, we've actually got things to talk about as well.
And makes a change?
Yeah, it doesn't make a change of who we're talking about, though.
Yeah, unfortunately.
So before we start, everybody who's on Twitch, if you could follow the channel if you don't already, and if you are on YouTube, if you could subscribe to a channel if you don't already, it would help support us as we go along. I think I've got that the right way around. It changes each time, but we're obviously talking not about Red Bull for once. Actually, when I say that, so. That's quite good for everybody. It's not talking about Red Bull. It is talking about the FIA president, His Royal Highness, and yes, it's he's back again. What do we really say about this? It's just one after another with all these things. What shall we start? Shall we start with the one you do know about? You know, the FIA drivers have had the penalties reduced if they're swearing, basically. So the FIA drivers were currently, or previously, fined €40,000, £33,000 basically for a first offence, and double that plus a ban for a second offence. It's now been lowered to €5,000, £4,200, and a potential for a ban lifted, although more severe penalties may still be imposed for very serious offences. God knows what a serious offence swearing is, but anyway,
Do
he
you not
wouldn't
know?
survive on this.
It's really serious.
I'm really tempted to start a swear box on there at 22 grand each.
I'm alright, thanks.
What? Because you know you wouldn't be able to make it through a show round.
Yeah, I do. No, I do.
Yeah, it's not really what we're expecting from him. This will come between controlled and uncontrolled environments. So, you know, if they're in the car and they're racing, but it remains that a driver can be punished for bad language, abuse of officials, criticism of the FIA, or general making and displaying of political, religious, and personal statements, or comments notably in violation of the general principle of neutrality promoted by the FIA under its statutes. For the latter fine, including public incitement to violence and hatred, at €20,000. Wow, they would have made a massive load for the Christmas party after 2021, wouldn't they? So this has all come in, and they've asked for a bit of a change to it. You know, they do understand they're adults, you know, treat them like them. So the statement from Ben Sulayem has said, as a former rally driver, I know firsthand the range of emotions that are faced during competitions. I have led an extensive and collaborative view with contributions from across 7 FIA World Championships, member clubs, and other motorsport organisations. So making it sound like he's spoke to everybody and said, we'll change it due to this. Yeah, maybe not. What do we think of this then, currently?
I think he's a total arsehole.
Yes.
And,
That's £22,000 into my Christmas pot. Well done.
and yeah. Whoever. I think I've run out of superlatives for this man. And
Yeah,
adjectives.
it's quite impressive, isn't it?
And it just every single week we can't focus on the racing without either Red Bull or this egotistical psychopath having something to say or something to do, or like he loves the sound of his, obviously he loves the sound of his voice way too much. changes are totally stupid, but then again, at the FIA, who is there?
There's nobody left to change who's in
Exactly.
charge of it.
So what can you do?
Yeah, it's there's not many people left there. Even Franz Hermer's not part of the FIA. If you don't get that pun, obviously you haven't heard that Max Verstappen decided to go testing at the Nürburgring under the name of Franz Hermann, but ran in a fully Red Bull liveried Verstappen.com car, overalls, and didn't even change his helmet design. Not going to go down too well, is it? Especially when you turned up and thrashed a lap record, apparently. But yes.
Yeah, but he's a genius, though. Like, you change your name just to keep the same helmet design.
Yeah, it's not the brightest idea in the world I've ever seen people have. Oh, look, Max Verstappen's in the paddock with a helmet and as a overall. Yeah, bit strange. But yeah, I don't quite get it. Makes no sense to me why he did that. But anyway,
Well, it says he wants his DT. He needs his DTM license because he wants to race at the Nürburgring.
Yeah, that's most of it. I mean, it's a bit daft that they just don't give it to him, to be fair. But
yeah, given that he's a 4-time F1 world champion.
Yeah, but then even Martin Brundle had to do that test.
Yeah, but it's ridiculous, isn't it?
Yeah, it is a bit crazy, but just going back to the first bit about the abuse around officials, something that's also come up on this today, like base level fines obviously being changed, etc. But there's a new specific reference to any misconduct involving the abuse of officials, for which F1 drivers will get a minimum 3-place grid penalty for their next race if the action occurs during a Grand Prix session, or a 5-second time penalty if it happens in a sprint session. If a team member commits the abuse of officials offence, both the cars will get that relative penalty. Also, officials have the discretion to suspend the penalties entirely for first offences and revise the guidelines also to make specific distinction between controlled environments and uncontrolled. So what I'm finding at the moment is it's basically don't criticise us.
What's the point? What's the point of running then? Well, what's the point of if you can't criticize a refereeing decision? What's the point of the drivers running? The drivers might as well boycott at this point. Let's see how that goes.
I wouldn't be surprised if it heads that way at this moment.
But that's why I feel. That's where I feel like it's heading.
It really is.
That's where I genuinely feel like, and it'll be so fun. Do you know what? It'd be so funny if they did it at Monaco.
I wouldn't want it to happen at Monaco because obviously.
Oh, fuck no! I don't give a shit. I don't give a
shit. No, I'll tell you why.
Traditional that.
Because the elections are not till December. So he's asked for nominations 49 days in advance. You need to do this when the nominations are coming in so you can back your horse. Because if you go and protest and go, we're protesting for Bob to be president. I mean, Bob would do a better job.
I don't think what is the biggest wheel spinner in Formula One? It's money. What's the most lucrative race on the calendar? It's Monaco. Where do all the stars show up? History, blah blah blah. It doesn't matter if there's some. You just go. This is bullshit. We're not racing under these conditions anymore.
Yeah, it's fair enough. Well, we haven't got to the next bit yet, which is going to be, it's a bit that you don't actually know huge amount about at the moment. So this is going to get fun. But yes, just give me a quick second, and we'll just. Oh, I'm not allowed to do that because I promoted it twice. Basically, we will move on to the next one because this is very silly. It's about swearing. It's playground stuff. to what is actually happening. I think this is to cover what is actually happening, because we've released this news about swearing, which I believe was done May the 14th. So that was today. Matt Beer at the race has published all this, which I'm following it from. But Andrew Benson, who's a very well-known F1 correspondent for the BBC, and a guy who really does, normally when he says something, you take a notice. I think he broke the Hamilton one with Eddie Jordan going to Mercedes. Not Eddie Jordan going to Mercedes, but Hamilton. That would have been a great signing if they'd just gone, sod it, we're having Eddie Jordan. But what we've got here at the moment is a change to the FI governing body. Now, this is further changes to what he's already stated. So please, in chat, whether you're on YouTube or Twitch, feel free to put your views in on what you hear here today and what you think should be happening. So the BBC has seen a confidential document. For a start, not very confidential. If the BBC have got their hands on it, which is with proposed revisions that will be voted on at a meeting of the FIA General Assembly. So the same one as the fines are being changed at. These include the deadline of candidates for December's presidential election, giving bin Sulayem the best possibility to bar any candidate from running against him. This is what sort of reading between the lines is. So they have been, let me just check where it is. I'm sure it was read here somewhere, but it was 49 days instead of 21 or something like that. So he was criticised last December for changes that were labelled worrisome concentration of power by one of its members' clubs. Thank you, David Richards, for putting Motorsport UK forward on that one. Obviously, most people were not prepared to comment because they are on non-disclosure agreements, which was the thing that come in, I think it was about Qatar last year. But Dave Richards really, oh no, it was this year, wasn't it? It's like Bahrain time. Anyway, one person has come out to say it was very cleverly written, and others have said most proposals aim at some sort of consolidation of power, centralizing control, and trying to eliminate independent checks and balances. Little bit on the worrying side for anybody who wants a clear and open and transparent FIA. Any thoughts initially?
Just continue.
Just continue. Okay, the most controversial component, and I am reading off the lines of the piece here because we've got to stick to what is written, really, because there's no way of putting it. The controversial proposal here is one that dictates must not be anything in the record of the candidates for the election as members of a presidential list that calls into question their professional integrity. Well, for a start off, who has stood forward and said he can be president? You know, we will put ourselves forward. Yeah, absolutely happy to, Steve. You know, but do a better job of it. Because if you look forward, Carlos Sainz has put his name into the ring.
Carlos Sainz Senior.
Senior, sorry. Yeah, the junior one doesn't like being called junior, so I kind of lose the plot. But anyway,
you have to for a podcast. You have to specify.
Sorry, I'm going to need this by the end of it. So they've said Carlos Sainz Senior wants to stand. Well, that's not going to work very well in terms of calling in questionable professional integrity. Oh, look, his son races in F1. You're out. Another one to say he might stand is Dave Richards
Dave Richards.
or Malcolm Wilson at both Motorsport UK governing body people. Oh, Dave Richards, Malcolm Wilson, you used to own ProDrive and Benetton F1 team. Oh, Malcolm Wilson, you owned M Sport, don't you? So that's you out on the rally inside. Question of opinions on this.
Are we just going to ignore Ben Sulayem's ties to Red Bull through his driving career and things like that as well?
Well, the last one I was going to mention is Susie Wolff. And Susie Wolff is, of course, married to Dodo.
Oh, is she actually?
Yeah, don't ask me why I went into a little bit accent there. It sounded quite Austrian, to be fair. But oh, sorry, Susie, you can't stand because your husband is a team manager in F1 team.
But hang on, under the same rules, Ben Sulayem shouldn't be stood.
Well, this is what I'm noticing, and if you go through the last leaders of the FIA, Jean Todt, oh no, he was never involved in an F1 team. Max Mosley, and who was the former leader of Formula One? Bernie Ecclestone. And I believe Charlie Whiting was part of an F1 team as well. Go on. I can feel you pulling at the leash here.
The sport. So for all intents, but right. I clarify this. I have to clarify this a lot to people, which is Formula One was like my first love. Like,
yeah.
When I started go-karts. Unfortunately, financially couldn't afford it because Formula One is a lot different in terms of funding and stuff like that. I was naturally good at football, so I end up trying to be a footballer. I got quite far, and then I found the opposite gender, and that all went tits up. Right? I'm not gonna do the whole knee injury thing.
Yeah.
The opposite gender all of a sudden became really attractive.
More interesting.
Yeah, it became a lot more interesting. So yeah, that decision worked really well. But Formula One has always been my first love for sport. And to watch this man, I'm the head of the organization for independence, fairness, and stuff like that. And bear in mind, there's been no changes to WEC. There's been no changes to World Rally. I believe Formula E's under the FIA banner.
Yes.
There's been no significant changes to that in terms of rule. The sole focus is on the prize jewel, which is Formula One. And to see this man single-handedly try to use the Arab dictatorship on the FIA seat and single-handedly, brick by brick, destroy everything I love about the sport in terms of regulations, rulings, decision-making, championship manipulation. It's so depressing to watch. It really is. Because at the end of 2021, in my opinion, the sport had, for a number of years, has never been that popular. Ever. Not in my sort of time watching it. Like at 2021, I've never seen so much hype and so many neutrals on Twitter ready to watch the showdown at the desert. I believe it's called the showdown at the desert. Yeah. Formula One was in the strongest position. I mean, Dave can maybe attest that maybe it was stronger, but in my sort of lifetime and my sort of time watching F1, I've never seen F1 was so like if you were an F1 watcher or an F1 nerd, you were a weirdo.
Yeah,
right?
Pretty much.
Yeah, you weren't people weren't speaking to you about F1 like it was a weird taboo sport on why you're watching cars go around in a circle. 2021, the F1 that was the F1 nerds' time to shine. Like it was step forward. This is my light, and to see the problem is the entire world saw what happened on that day. You don't have to understand the sport. You don't have to like the. You don't have to like the sport. You don't have to be a historical fan of the sport. The problem is the entire world, the likes of Harry Kane, who, when he tweeted, clearly had never watched an F1 race in his life. Yeah, the likes of Logan Paul, KSI, big influential people watched that race and tweeted and messaged out and whatever how disgusting it was. And the and from there it has been a constant decline in terms of viewership, the product, um, the fandom, how people view the sport, how people look at the sport. In some people's eyes, the sport's not even a legitimate thing anymore. It's not because because of what happened. People talk, people talk about the corruption in boxing, but at least at least people can at least people understand the history of boxing, and people understand it's three judges' decisions. Watching us man single-handedly manipulate everything to the point where F1 is now, in my opinion, probably lowered, probably I saw of his lowest point in terms of European viewership has been in a long time. It's just a really sad thing it's just genuinely a really sad thing to see. And even those Drive to Survive fans, they're not sticking around anymore. They literally watch Drive to Survive because the drivers fans of Drive to Survive and don't give a shit about the product anymore because it's so convoluted. There's so much bullshit. There's so much nonsense around the sport, around the FIA at this moment in time. It's just beyond farcical. I can't defend why I watch F1 anymore. And it's really sad. And that's probably like the rant over, but that's like the
Oh, we're not finished yet.
for God's sake.
No, I'm not kidding you. We're not finished yet. Just to add on the changes to World Count, the election, it is 49 days instead of 21. The reason given that the current time limit leaves the nominations committee very little time to check the eligibility of the 11 candidates for the presidential team proposed in a given list.
Of course it does.
You mean it gives them more time to find a reason to get rid of them? Okay.
What's your opinion on it?
Well, we'll get to that in a minute because we'll go with this one first. I think it's absolutely insane. At the moment we have, without getting all political, we have 3 people in the world who think that they can change the way that elections and presidencies and all that are run, and one of them isn't FIFA for once. Actually, I think FIFA aren't doing a terrible job at it right now. You never thought in a news story weekend that you would
compliment FIFA.
You'd find that FIFA and Flavio Briatore are the clean people of the week, which we'll get into in a minute on that one. But it's very, very strange that this whole situation has happened. It doesn't make any sense. Why? The only person I know to ever make presidential changes, which in their things to change how they stay in power, is one little Russian bloke called Vladimir Putin. It's the only person I know who's ever done it. And what he did was, in the end, they went, no, your president is not going to stay like, your prime minister isn't going to stay like this. And he goes, okay, well, we'll make a president. Because then the rules are different on how many times you can stay in power. And he changed it so he could stay in a third or a fourth or a fifth. Luckily for America at the moment, they haven't done that. So after this second term, that's it. But we will soon find out. But it's absolutely mad. Another situation that's changing is the Senate. So if you're into American politics, you'll understand that they have a Senate. So they have members. House of Representation. Yeah. So currently it is 16 members, 12 which are defined in the representation of the president, his team, and members of 2 world councils for sport, mobility, and tourism. And then the final 4 proposed are confirmed by the rest of the Senate and the President. The proposition, though, so the President can go, these 4 people I want to put on the board, is that okay? And then the whole lot will say yes or no or whatever and come up with reasons. Mohammed bin Sulayem is proposing the President should appoint the final 4 members. Not propose them, appoint. It's a bit like your 4 best friends. Come on, boys. The reason given for the proposing this change is to allow more flexibility in having the expertise required. But this also will leave the situation that you could possibly sack one of these people when it suits. What, when they change their mind and don't want to back you? I mean, look, we were never going to get FIA passes in a million years. And we've always said on this show, we'll talk about exactly how it is. And this is exactly how it is. And it's one source close to the situation has said this was so clear poor governance that the boldness is even surprising. That he would even throw something like this into a ring. So currently, obviously, like you'll have, let me just find the current, here we go, the changes to the current council. So there's 28 members and 21 of them must be different nationalities. So that kind of shows you as World Council, it's diverse. You have 7 vice presidents and 14 elected members of different motorsport governing bodies. The idea is to now go no more than 2 members of the same nationality. So you can now, instead of having 21 different nationalities in that board of members, 28 members, you now can have 2 of each, which means 14 countries are represented. So he can get rid of, he can stack the council with people he wants.
And who back him.
And who will back him. And Motorsport UK, Motorsport France, Italia, all these people who will stand up against him because they're the most powerful motorsport councils you've got, cannot stand against him. Because they might not even be part of that elected council. So they won't have a say in how motorsport works, which is crazy to think that Motorsport UK, I know we're Brits, but to think Motorsport UK will have no say in motorsport decision making when we have 9 of the F1, 10 F1 teams in Britain now, because Red Bull have places across here for Toro Rosso or RB. Sauber are fully not here, but I think everybody else is here, including Cadillac. So you could say 10 out of the 11. Oh, Ferrari, sorry. Why am I saying Ferrari's in Britain? Of course it's not. So yeah, 9 out of 11 next season will be from the UK. Motorsport's strongest junior formulas are in the UK. They always have been. People come all over the world to race in the UK because it's meant to be the strongest, and yet they may have no say whatsoever on the government council. It's just, this isn't a definite to happening. Obviously, these are the changes which will be put forward. But, and amazingly enough, Wadget, we've got one more. Another change is that the 4th-year term of office of its members and the Audit Ethics Committee is brought into line with when you would vote president.
Yeah, okay.
So that if the Ethics Committee don't, like, you're standing there going, we really need to report him. Yes, but you'll just sack us because he's president. You can't even go to the rest of your time as the Ethics Committee when a different president comes in to criticise him and do something about it because he won't be there and he won't be the president. So you won't be able to do anything about it. A critic has come out and said it seems efficient that gives fewer options for dissent outside of the presidential cycle. I never thought we'd be sitting here and talking about a piece like this and not talk about Donald Trump. I mean, this is exactly what he tried to do in his first. I mean, I'm not saying whether you should agree with Trump or whatever.
Well, it's what he's tried doing this term as well.
It's what he's tried doing in the House of Commons, Senate, whatever you want to call it. You surround yourself with people who will vote for you, and you do what you like. And we could go back to Brexit with Boris Johnson. He had such a majority that he could have done whatever he liked. Not saying he did a huge amount with it, but he could have done whatever he liked because of the amount of people who should vote with him. Now you know all of that, Wajid.
I'm not saying no. I'm done. I said.
I presume you're going to put forward your declaration to support bin Sulayem in the next general election.
Oh, no, I will be standing. I will be standing. No, because based on the new rules, I might be one of the only few people on the planet that can stand against him because I've had no ties to motorsport.
Yeah, I can't either.
Yeah, Paul can't.
I've run a karting series, so I can't do it. Oh, this could be awkward. I'll tell you who should do it. Simon Lazenby. He's the only person who come into F1 with no contacts at first, so why not? Just insane how this is going. And like I say, we've gone on about it for half an hour, or I've gone on about it for half an hour with Wajid doing his little bit.
But you've had to explain it to me.
Yeah. Are you glad Paul's not here? We wouldn't have enough time.
We wouldn't have enough time. No, I will be standing. I want to declare my candidacy for the F1, for the FIA presidency.
You need money for that.
Let's get back in. According to the new rules, I'm like one of the 5 people in the planet that can stand.
It is absolutely insane that we're even talking about this. I really don't get it. But we're actually in a position where we may never be able to get rid of Mohammed bin Sulayem as president of the FIA.
Yep.
And I don't think, let's put it this way, if you're happy, you're a great FIA president who gets revoted in, a la Jean Todt and Max Mosley, you don't make these changes. Because you don't need to.
But the fact that the FIA is built in a position where one single man can independently decide every single rule change, and there weren't rules in place to stop essentially dictatorship, you got to take a look at the FIA as well, don't you?
Oh, yes. It obviously could have done with some kind of ruling, wording to stop this kind of thing. I'll put it this way. We'll know by 49 days before December, so that's October time. We'll know who's going to stand. Let's take the candidates. Obviously, Mohammed bin Sulayem has been in charge since 2021. Yes, I mentioned that year without mentioning Abu Dhabi. Oh, damn. Done it. Carlos Sainz
it's fine. I'd already mentioned Abu Dhabi anyway.
Yeah. Carlos Sainz Senior. We'll go with Dave Richards because he's the head of Motorsport UK, so it's more likely that he would step forward. And Susie Wolff. Who would you? I mean, obviously, we don't know what they're going to bring forward to the FIA, but who would your money be behind yourself? If that was the 4. Obviously, there's plenty more people who could step forward. I wouldn't be surprised if Sebastian Vettel stepped forward at the rate it's going.
Honestly, Susie Wolff.
Because
the development she's tried to do to the F1 Academy, she's had experiences essentially leading
Yeah.
an arm of a race organization, and it'd bring totally fresh, totally different ideas, and also she would be strong. She would be strongly backed by the drivers, and she, as people don't know, she's actually like she's actually a former she's a former test driver.
Yeah.
She's a former, so it's not like she doesn't have F1 experience either. So for me, all those things make her, for me, that's the person I'd back, to be honest. How about
No,
yourself?
that's absolutely fine. I'm just trying to actually find the list of the last FIA presidents because I'm trying to. There we go. So we had Mohammed bin Sulayem. Jean Todt got a double. He went 2009 till 2021 and didn't stand again. That was his thing. Max Mosley was 93 to 2009. And obviously he brought a lot of safety into the sport. We know from that. Jean-Marie Balestre, 85 to 93. We know why he was outed. Kind of in the same kind of situation, really. Somebody trying to control what's going on and not being able to, basically. So that takes us back to 1985 to one of the most mixed opinioned FIA presidents ever. And I'm not even saying Max Mosley. I mean, we remember why Max Mosley quit.
I think the word you're looking for is polarizing.
Yeah, it's amazing that Max Mosley is coming out with. I mean, he brought so much to the sport, and it was one silly error, whatever you want to call it, of why he lost that presidency and had to walk.
It was his preference, wasn't
Yeah, it. Yeah,
it?
I mean,
People do not credit him for what he did to the sport,
yeah,
because
they really don't.
people were 1994. The sport lost not one but two drivers that year.
Yeah,
And then the type of impact Schumacher had at Silverstone in 98, 99, would could
99.
but what I'm saying, could have potentially killed him
Yeah,
in previous season, and it was the safety changes and Max's push for making the drivers as safe as possible that F1 has now got to the point where, yeah, don't get me wrong, still an incredibly dangerous
oh
sport
yes,
and stuff like that. But I mean, even take sort of Grosjean's fireball accident. It is the initial safety changes by Max Mosley all those years ago that the man walked out like he didn't walk out unscathed, but that's an accident in
yeah,
90. That's an accident in 94 that kills you straight away. End of.
yeah. Well, it
And
was everything from like fireproofs, wasn't it?
yeah,
You had to have fireproof pants.
absolutely everything. And let's not speak ill of the dead, as they say. He had
Yeah.
one mistake, one preference, and the British royal family dressed the same way. So
Well, yeah, I was just about to say nobody chastises Prince Harry for going to a party dressed in the same kind of way. So, it's
But I'll just
like,
quickly rest in peace,
yeah,
Max Mosley as well.
yeah, because actually, I think he was brilliant FAA director, and obviously that's.
If it wasn't for that, he would have won the second time.
Oh, he had more than the second term anyway. He went 93 to 2009, but
Sorry, he would have won another term. Sorry,
he would have been there a lot longer. Probably would have given up for Jean Todt because Max was getting on a bit, wasn't he? But just this shows you, if you're good enough as FIA president, you stay there. You get the people around you who can do the job. Jean Todt, we hardly ever saw. Max Mosley came out when he had an important thing to say, but that's it. Balestra, he probably didn't even realise at the time what effect he was having on the sport, because he thought he was right, but he never gagged for drivers. The drivers stood up to him in the end, and it's possibly that might have to come forward to change anything. And like I said before, it's so many different things. It makes me angry to hear these things coming in, because why do we need to be so dictatorship? If you're good enough, you'll get the people around you who will support you. And I hope to God that somebody, I say hope to God as a figure of speech, but maybe I look up to Max Mosley up there somewhere, and he can find somebody to replace the current FIA president. It's amazing. Me and you have sat here, and we're not even the person with the most information on these topics, and we're 41 minutes into this video.
Yep.
It's crazy.
It is insane.
So what I am going to do at this point is we're going to move on. So at this point, if you're watching live, that is for video, and we're moving on to a second video in a minute, and we'll stay live, so just stay with us. And if you're not watching us live, hopefully I'll be able to pin the other video somewhere on this screen for you to go to see our predictions for the, I need to get this right, because if not, I will get absolutely chastised for it. So this is for, I want to get the full name right. You don't want me to get this wrong. It is for the predictions for the Formula One AWS Gran Premiero del Made in Italy d'Emilia-Romagna 2025. You didn't think I'd say that one that quick. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off there. I was just throwing it out there quickly.
At the Dino Enzo Ferrari Autodrome.
Yeah. I mean, he's rolling in his grave listening to all this. Right. Thank you, everybody who has been here for the first part of the video. This is the second part, and this is our F1 predictions for the Emilia. I'm going to say it again. The Formula One AWS Gran Premiero del Made in Italy d'Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix.
At Imola.
So San Marino Grand Prix, basically.
Yeah.
Wajid is joining us. Forgot his name already. Paul can't join us for this, but he has sent in his selections, so we'll hit straight to it. But first up, before we get too far, has anybody heard the joke about the banned Italian, the new Argentinian, the hidden away Brit, and the French F1 team?
No.
You wouldn't write this, but Flavio Briatore has come out smelling of roses somehow. As you all know, and we've done bits on it elsewhere, Jack Doom will not be in Imola, or he will be as a reserve driver, but he won't be driving in Imola, as he's been replaced by Franco Colapinto. As we mentioned in previous videos, we've said, we thought he was going to take the seat because of money from South America and the Argentine backers, and that's the reason behind it. Oh, how we were wrong. Now, I want to hasten to say these are unofficial rumours, but it's making a lot of noise for some unofficial rumours. Ollie Oakes was sacked, which we announced live on air, or left with mutual. Not that anything's mutual with Flavio Briatore ever, so I'm not sure why they even tried to announce that. But Ollie Oakes left as team principal of Alpine, and it appears he's gone into hiding in Dubai. Now, we don't know. This is where it becomes rumours because we don't know. But William Oakes, who's his brother, has been arrested with an awful load of money in his hands. And obviously, these two people are linked to the Mazepin family, who obviously needed to sort their money out when they owned part of High Tech in F2. I think it's William Oakes. I'm sure it's William Oakes. Sorry if you're called William Oakes out there and you're not involved in this. But Ollie hasn't come out and said much. He's obviously said something in the press and then not exactly gone, I want to put water on this fire. It's quite unbelievable what's going on at the moment, isn't it?
I love this sport.
You never thought that the guy who fixed the Grand Prix victory,
who shouldn't be anywhere near
who
the
shouldn't
sport
be in the
anyway.
sport, is the one smelling of roses here. But it seems to be happening.
It's fucking nuts. It's actually nuts, isn't it?
What?
It's genuinely nuts.
Yeah, it's almost, and obviously what we were saying before, Mazepin's had links to Vladimir Putin and
Allegedly.
what's the name they call them for people with money?
Oligarchs.
Oligarchs. So Nikita Mazepin's dad is one of them, allegedly to Vladimir Putin.
Yes,
and
surprisingly, I don't want my food poisoned.
Yeah, we're going to be very careful about this. I don't live in Salisbury, so we're all right. They're not going to turn around and say the nearest church to me.
Yeah, one of us travels, the other one doesn't.
Yeah, but got friends in high places. We'll be all right. I just lock my front door. Nobody comes in. So allegedly, obviously, the money's had to go somewhere. Allegedly, it's been linked to the High Tech team. There is rumours that High Tech are going to have some of their cars compounded because William Oakes is part ownership of High Tech. High Tech are in F4, F3, F2.
And they have been trying to get into F1.
Yeah, they've been trying to get into F1, which obviously is where some money might have been passed along. But I think if you're Ollie Oakes and you want to clear this up, you would have done. You would have come out and cleared it up.
You would have come out and said, the actions of my brother have nothing to do with me. Or my brother has not done anything at this moment in time. These are all just uncircumstantial rumors, blah, 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 the usual spiel.
Exactly. You'd come out with something, but it appears that he doesn't want to do that. We don't even know if he is in Dubai, but apparently that's a rumour. It's absolutely crazy. I don't know what's suddenly burst into this sport, but we've got possible corruption everywhere. But the news you need to know for this weekend, Franco Colapinto will be in the Alpine alongside Pierre Gasly.
The worst kept secret in F1.
Worst kept secret since Lewis Hamilton going to Ferrari. It's just I don't even know where to go with this.
Let's avoid.
Shall we avoid all confrontation?
I'm gonna avoid the Ollie Oak stuff until more things come out.
More comes out, yeah.
Because Crimea is one place I don't want to piss off.
Well, also, to be fair, the next place we're going is Imola. If things happen in Italy, look at Williams with Senna. It went on for 10 years.
Yep.
But Colapinto, obviously nothing to do with all of this.
He shouldn't be in the seat.
I mean, I don't think he should be in the seat, but how do you think he's going to get on?
There's going to be a much closer microscope on Colapinto now than when he replaced Mr. Sargent. And I think a lot of people don't realize, yes, his results were decent, but people don't realize how much he crushed out Williams.
Yeah, go
on. And Jack Doohan's father, posted a story about the comparative results between his son and Gasly, and They weren't as bad as I had initially. Yeah, Dune was nowhere from time to time, but they weren't as bad as I thought they were comparatively.
Yeah, I mean it's a situation where because the midfield is so tight, if you lose 4 tenths now, you are probably at the back of the grid. And Dune had half a decent round last time out. Just unfortunate it didn't go his way of the race, but he showed a lot more pace. At least giving him a circuit that he knows, like Bahrain or Imola, would have been a lot more sensible in doing so. But they're not doing that. They're bringing Colapinto on a 5 race deal with.
Let's be honest. Let's be honest. He's here till the end of the season.
Well, he should be. But if he starts crashing, if Flavio's got any sense about him, he's probably said we can put him in for 5 races. If he does all right, we'll keep him. If not, we're in trouble. And that's down to your sponsors to keep Colapinto going. The rumour is that Mick Schumacher is in for a 5 race stint after Colapinto's 5 race stint. So who knows? I mean, they're once in a
I mean,
repair
this all
bill,
comes.
aren't
I'm
they?
sorry, but this all comes down to Flavio Briatore should be nowhere near the sport in the first place. If you are banned from F1, that means any ties you have to a fucking team, like you should be forced to sell, just like Donald Sterling was in the NBA. Donald Sterling has had nothing to do after his racial comments came out. He had to sell the Clippers. He's been nowhere near the NBA since. Why the fuck in F1 is F1 the only place where you get banned? And in Pat Simmons' case, you actually set the current
New
rules,
rules.
right? And the current rules and the new rules. And in Flavio Briatore, you still have ownership in the team. It's actually mind-boggling. And then you have to defend this sport.
Yeah.
I feel so negative all the time, but it's just fucking insane. Right? Ben Wanker, who's more bothered about his power hungry status and all that. Oh, I was about to curse hard. Right. Ooh, I call myself.
Apologies to all mothers out there.
Yeah, no, I didn't say it, so but you twat, yeah. Instead of focusing on your power, why don't you do what FIA president's supposed to do and implement a rule where a man has been banned from the sport and you fucking put and make the steps to make sure he's never around the sport ever again? Am I insane?
No. I do honestly, I still think that Flavio shouldn't be part of a sport, but I do think with what could be going on at Alpine right now, he's possibly the best person to have there to say, out of all the people I could kind of think of, to say, right, no, we're cutting the line. This is black and white.
Mate, sorry. There are people who are paid hundreds of thousands of pounds
I agree.
for instantaneous analytical decision and stuff. You're telling me a bunch of wankers can't get together and have a brain trust to go, we shouldn't do this. We should do that.
Yeah.
What? Because he led Michael Schumacher to his first 2 world championships. Fuck off.
I think if I go back to Flavio and I think about it, and let's just take Singapore 2008 out. I know it's a massive thing, but in terms of the sport, he was fine until then. It's like I didn't find he did a huge lot wrong in terms of Formula One. Yes, okay, Benetton broke rules a few times, but then so do other teams. You know, McLaren had a third brake pedal, etc., etc. Everybody stretches the rules to try and find their advantage. But that 2008 just took it far too far, was clear cheating, and yeah, even Felipe Massa's sort of liked to post saying, "Why would it be in here?" But at the end of the day, it's trying to change a huge thing. He shouldn't be in the Renault team.
Mate, I'm sorry. He effectively changed where the
Yeah.
2008 World Championship went.
To a point, if Ferrari could do pit stops, which we all know they can't.
Yeah, but hang on. Up until that point, if it was a regular race, up until that
Yeah.
point, Massa was in total control of that race. Up until that
Yes.
point,
Yeah. I
total
completely agree.
total control, right? So, and at the end of the day, they only did it because they needed to keep Alonso in the car for 2009, because
Yeah.
Alonso wanted out because of how bad the car was.
Well, the 2009 car wasn't much better.
Like, I'm sorry, but
Yeah.
for all the comments people make about corruption in boxing and FIFA and stuff like that, F1 is disgustingly corrupt.
Yeah, and what is, we're looking at it now. If you haven't seen our previous video about Mohammed bin Sulayem and what he wants to do with the FIA,
Please
then
do
feel
check that out.
free
Yeah, please do
to
check that
check
out.
that, because I will put a link somewhere in the chat for it, because it will be the same video but just split up. But we'll move on. Prediction time. This is the fun bit. We can all smile. It's only been 56 minutes of recording, and we finally got to predictions. So that's the scores we've got. Wajid with 7 correct, Paul with 3, and myself with 3. Yes, that's going well. I will add that's out of 30 at each Grand Prix. So we're well over 100 and odd.
It's no, it's 10. It's 10
10
per
each
Grand Prix.
per Grand
Yeah,
Prix.
but yeah.
And I've just checked the forecast. There is no rain due. 40% chance of rain on Friday, but no rain due for the rest of the weekend. So that's not to worry about. We don't have a sprint race this time, do we?
Not that I'm aware
I'm
of.
pretty sure it's not a sprint weekend. No, it's a general normal qualifying weekend. I know that Imola had a sprint at some point, so I think it was last season, but they haven't got it this season.
The next one is in Belgium, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a long
Belgium, Austin, Sao Paulo, and then
should have one around Monaco.
Lusail.
Um,
I'd rather get hit in the balls by a cactus.
Be arranged. Depends what we say about Mohammed bin Sulayem. Anyway, prediction time. Firstly, we'll go with the guy who is not here, Paul. Qualifying, he has gone P5 Antonelli, P4 Norris, P3 Russell, P2 Piastri, and pole position to Max Verstappen. Obviously, thinking that tiring times with his new baby daughter will not cause too many issues there. But then also, Paul for a race doesn't have, spoiler, doesn't have Verstappen in the top 5. So that's going to be interesting to see where he thinks that one goes. Wajid, would you like to put your qualifyings forward?
Yeah, I've gone Leclerc 5th, Antonelli 4th, Verstappen 3rd, Norris 2nd, Piastri 1st.
Interesting. Okay, mine is 5th for George Russell, 4th for Antonelli, 3rd for Verstappen, and it'll be Norris ahead of Piastri in qualifying. So again, still no Ferraris.
So you've gone same top 3 as me, except the other way around.
Yeah, possibly.
Oh yeah, I've gone Piastri, Norris, Verstappen. You've gone Norris, Piastri, Verstappen.
Well, for Paul's race results, Paul has gone Piastri, Norris. Sorry, from 5th, Leclerc, popping in with the top 5, Russell, Antonelli, Norris, and Piastri to win. So apart from swapping Russell, Norris, and Antonelli round, he's basically said Verstappen's going to retire and Leclerc will be in 5th. That's basically about it.
Do you want to go next?
Yeah, we can do. Well, as always, the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix does normally throw up a bit of a surprise. We've had Sonoda, was it Sonoda or Kvyat come in 5th or something like that? I'll sit for 1 year. We had Danny Ricciardo coming through on some soft tyres once. So in 5th place, we are, of course, going to have a bit of a surprise result, and it's going to be Ollie Behrman in 5th. Yeah, I'm living out hope. In 4th,
You don't wanna win this competition.
no, really. You really think we got a chance when I've got to Imola and I've got 3 points? 4th will be Antonelli. No, actually, 3rd will be Antonelli because he'll get on the podium. So 4th will be Russell.
Okay.
Verstappen in 2nd. And Norris in 1st.
So you got Piastri not doing shit this weekend.
Just a little bit of broken front wing at turn 1 means he falls downfield. I don't know.
Interesting.
I need to shut up the Aussie people that end up watching the Grand Prix with me. I really need to shut them up.
So mine's not that much different to last week. I've got Verstappen 5th, Russell 4th, Leclerc 3rd, Norris 2nd, Piastri 1st.
Yeah, that's not too bad, to be fair.
I'm trying to win.
Yeah, I'm kind of 4 points back already as it is, but no, I just always think there's a bit of a surprise at Imola in terms of like just one car just sort of pops itself up there.
Well, there's normally, in fairness, there is normally is because it's a very old race circuit and because it's fairly
safety
narrow.
Cars.
There's always a safety car, so it's actually not a bad shot. The worst shot in the world.
Okay, so I'll change my winner to Bernd Maylander. If he could do the most laps. So that is actually all our predictions for the Grand Prix. If you've got predictions, pop them down in the comments below and hit a like on the video, and maybe we'll just get 2 likes. There's our target, 2 likes. Please, somebody click like on the video.
We're getting there slowly.
We are doing, and it's consistent. That's the main thing. And
Yeah.
if you want to be heavily critical of the FIA and find out what he has got in store, then obviously head to our other video that we're posting tonight. That's about it.
Yep, we will be back.
Yeah, Wajid wants to hit the gym.
Well, no, it's a bit late now, so gym closes at 11, so I won't be making it tonight.
Shuts at 11? You need a 24-hour one.
No, the weights don't go high enough at a 24-hour. just that's the honest to God truth.
Honestly, I wouldn't have known that.
It's the honest to God truth. We will be back next week, hopefully all 3 of us, for the review of the Emilia-Romagna, and this is
Monaco
also the
preview.
Yes, and the Monaco preview, because this is the start of not only the European leg, but also another triple header.
Yeah, and one last thing, congratulations, because they will get to Imola, and Imola will happen. It won't get flooded out like it did a few years ago. Happy 600th Grand Prix to the Sauber F1 team in all its disguises of Sauber it's been. Under Alfa Romeo, BMW, they've reached 600, and they're still possibly not going to score.
Oh, do you know what? I've just realized you picking Behrman. Maybe the new American Pope will bless the car. That's actually not a bad shout.
Yeah. If he's an F1 fan, I don't know.
I mean, he's American.
Fair point. So he probably more a NASCAR guy.
Yeah.
Anyway, we'll see you all next week. Goodbye.